The stranger in the ruins dust still floated in the air. The ground was cracked, burned, and broken. Pieces of metal, stone, and bone lay everywhere. Fire no longer burned, but the smell of it still filled the sky. Micah walked through what was left of the outpost. His suit was torn at the shoulder. A bruise darkened one side of his face. But his eyes stayed sharp, searching every corner of the ruins. He had seen too many battles. But something about this one felt wrong. The attack came without warning. The defense systems didn't even activate. The power went out in less than 5 seconds. The command tower fell before anyone could send a full signal. He was lucky to survive. No, not lucky. Left behind. Maybe on purpose. Maybe forgotten. He stepped over a broken drone, its legs sparking. The air was quiet, no voices, no backup, just wind and ruins. But then, he heard it. A sound. Not metal. Not machine. A breath. Soft. Shaking. Micah stopped. He turned slowly. It was coming from under the collapsed wall near the medbay wreckage. He moved closer, one step at a time. His hand stayed, near the pulse pistol on his side. The breathing grew louder. Then, he saw her, curled up behind a broken steel beam. An alien woman. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly in the shadows. Her arms were covered in small burns. Her clothes were torn. One eye was swollen, but she was alive, and crying. Her body shook as she pressed herself into the wall. She didn't move when she saw him. She just looked at him, and then, slowly, reached out. "Help," she whispered. Micah hesitated. She was alien. Maybe one of the attackers. Maybe not. But her eyes, they were full of fear. Not anger. Not hate. Just pain. He lowered his weapon. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said. She didn't answer. She just crawled out from under the beam and fell against him, arms weak, shoulders shaking, and she wept. Deep, broken sobs, like someone who had lost everything. He caught her carefully. He had treated wounds before. He had helped injured soldiers. But never like this. Never someone who cried like she already knew him. He looked down, and she whispered something. Just one word. A name. Not hers. His mother's. "Lyra," she said. Micah froze. His blood turned cold. "What did you say?" he asked. The alien woman looked up at him through tears. "Lyra. She used to sing to you. Before the storms came." Micah stepped back slightly. "How do you know that?" She clung to him, again desperate. "You gave me the memory." His heart pounded. "Who are you?" "You don't remember me," she said. "But I remember you." Micah found a small working shelter pod in the corner of the ruins. He carried her inside, laid her down on a cot, and started patching her wounds. "What's your name?" he asked. She was quiet for a long time, then said, "I don't have one." "Not really. Then what do I call you?" "You called me Lena, in the dream." He stopped what he was doing. "What dream?" Her voice dropped. "Your dream. The one you gave me." Micah sat down, confused, tense. "I've never met you." "I know. I've never seen your species before." "I know." "Then how do you know my mother's name? How do you know the song she used to sing?" Lena looked at him, eyes full of something deeper than pain. "Because it's my memory now, too." Outside, the wind shifted. Somewhere beyond the ruined sky, something else was watching. But inside that tiny shelter, Micah stared at the alien woman, clinging to his past, and for the first time since the battle, he felt something stronger than confusion. He felt fear. Because whatever Lena was, she knew him better than anyone alive, and he had no idea why. The woman with human memories, the shelter pod creaked in the cold wind, but inside, the heat unit kept a low warmth around the cot. Micah sat across from Lena, staring at her while she slept. Her skin had turned from pale blue to soft silver in the warm light. Small glowing lines pulsed faintly beneath the surface of her arms. Not tattoos, not wounds. Something else. Maybe circuitry. Maybe something organic. But that wasn't what disturbed him most. What disturbed him was how she breathed in her sleep. Exactly like his sister used to when they were kids. Same rhythm, same tiny hitch on the inhale. He hadn't heard that sound in 15 years. He leaned forward, his voice low. "Lena, who are you?" Her eyes opened slowly. "You gave me that name," she said softly. "I didn't. You did. Not now. Not with words, with memories." Micah stood and paced the room. "This makes no sense." "I know," she said. "It never does at first." He stopped. "At first? You're not the only one," she whispered. Micah stepped closer. "What does that mean?" Lena sat up slowly, holding her side. "Project Soulprint," she said. "You were part of it." His breath caught. "No one knows about that." "I do." He stared at her. Project Soulprint was shut down 12 years ago. They said it failed, said it was too dangerous. Lena nodded. "Because it worked too well," she explained in fragments. "Years ago, a human research team tried something new. Instead of sharing knowledge through books and language, they tried to share experience through memory. Not just images, but emotion, sound, fear, love, real memories. They found volunteers, soldiers, doctors, artists, and copied slices of their minds into alien test subjects to teach them what it meant to be human. Micah had been one of those volunteers. He had signed the form, sat in the chair, and let them scan his mind. He was told it would be stored for research, never used, never activated. But Lena remembered things no file could hold. She remembered the way his mother smelled when she hugged him. She remembered the cracked ceiling of his childhood room. She remembered the words he whispered to his sister when she died, and that broke him. "They used my memories," he said. Lena nodded. "They gave them to us. We were raised with them, trained with them, felt them. How many of you?" "Only 4 made it through the full imprint. The others broke. Too much emotion, too much grief. They didn't understand." Micah's jaw tightened. "So what happened?" "The humans shut it down. They said we weren't safe, said we might become confused, unstable. And you?" "I escaped during the collapse. Ran when the lab burned. The others didn't make it." Micah sank into the chair, staring at the floor. "Why come here?" "I didn't know where else to go," she whispered. "But when the attack happened, when everything fell apart, your memories pulled me here. To you." Outside, snow hit the walls harder now. A storm was building. Micah stood and opened the emergency locker. Inside were a few old weapons, rations, and a shortwave transmitter. He turned to her. "I'm sending a message to command. Someone needs to answer for this." "Don't," Lena said quickly. "They'll come, but not to help." "What do you mean?" "They'll come to erase me. And you." Micah stared at her. "You really think they'd silence this?" "I know they will." "Then we don't call anyone?" "Not yet." He looked at her, eyes sharp. "What do you want, Lena?" She met his gaze with something deep, not cold, not desperate, just honest. "I want to understand why you gave me sadness. And still, believed in kindness. I didn't give you anything. You did, even if you don't remember." Micah turned away. But deep inside, something was changing. The girl who sat across from him might not be human, but she knew things no one else ever could. And in her tears, in her voice, there was a piece of him, a broken piece he had long forgotten. And now, it was sitting in front of him, asking to be whole again. Project Soulprint. Micah didn't sleep that night. Not because of the cold, not because of the wind shaking the shelter, but because of her, Lena, the alien woman who spoke his memories, who cried with his grief, who felt things only he should have felt, and now she slept quietly across from him, her breath calm, her hands folded like someone who finally felt safe. But Micah didn't feel safe. He felt cracked open. When the sun returned, weak and pale, he stood at the edge of the shelter's door, looking toward the old ridgeline. There was a place nearby. He remembered it now, not from maps, but from training. Project Soulprint's first trial base. They said it was destroyed after the experiments failed, but he remembered the coordinates. He looked back at Lena. She was awake now, watching him. "You're going, aren't you?" she asked. "Yes." "Then, I'm going too." They walked for hours across ice and broken ground. The old path had been buried by time. Only jagged wires and melted metal stuck out from the snow. The deeper they went, the colder the air became, not just cold from the weather but from memory. Finally, they reached it, half buried under frost and stone. A steel door marked with 3 faded letters, PSP Project Soulprint Prototype. Micah stared at it for a long time, then placed his hand on the side panel. It blinked red, denied, but when Lena stepped forward and pressed her hand against the door, it opened. With a slow hiss, the door slid sideways, revealing a dark hallway filled with dust and silence. "How did it know you?" Micah asked. "Your code is part of me," she whispered. Inside, the walls were cracked. Lights blinked dimly. Frozen screens showed ghostly data. Beds were overturned. Broken pods lined the hallway. Most were empty. Some were not. Micah looked inside one. A body floated in gray fluid. Half human, half alien. Eyes wide open. Dead. Lena stood beside him. "She didn't make it," Lena whispered. "Was she one of you?" She carried someone's fear. But it was too much. She couldn't tell which part was real. What happened here? The program moved too fast, too deep. Your memories are heavy, Micah, and we weren't built to carry them. He stepped forward into the core chamber. There was a chair, a scan dome above it, and an old terminal still glowing faintly. Micah wiped dust off the screen. A message blinked. User profile, Micah Ellen. Status, donor level 3. Imprint success. 1. Subject codename Lena. He stared at the screen. "This proves it," he said. "You weren't lying." She walked beside him, touching the back of the chair. "I remember this place. I remember sitting here, watching memories pour in. I didn't understand the feelings, the sadness, the joy, but I held them." "You were never meant to," Micah said. "But I did. They used us both." "Yes." Micah looked down at the floor. "I signed up because I thought it could help people. I thought maybe if someone else could understand what it means to be human, we'd stop fighting." Lena smiled gently. "I understand. But it failed." "No," she said softly. "I'm still here." Behind them, the terminal blinked again. Data transmission detected. Micah turned sharply. "Someone's listening." Lena stepped back. "They know we're here. We have to go." But before they could move, the lights flickered red. A warning alarm. "Incoming. Vessel detected." Micah grabbed the emergency file drive from the terminal and stuffed it into his pack. He turned to Lena. "If they came to erase you, they'll erase this place too." She nodded. "We don't let them. We don't fight them," he said. "Then what do we do?" He looked at her. "We run, and we tell the truth." They rushed out of the base as the first shadow fell from the sky. A dark shape. No lights. No signal. An eraser unit, designed to destroy data and people. Micah and Lena ran toward the canyon, the wind sharp in their faces. But for the first time, Micah didn't feel lost. He felt ready, because now he knew the truth. Project Soulprint didn't fail. It lived, and its proof was running beside him. Hunted by those who buried the past, the sky turned black, not from clouds, from the eraser ship. It hovered low over the ruins, silent and wide like a floating shadow with no sound and no mercy, the type of craft designed to leave no survivors and no traces. Micah and Lena ran fast through broken paths, slipping between the wreckage of old factories and melted towers. Dust kicked up behind them as the ship scanned the ground with red light. "This way," Micah shouted. Lena followed without question, her body still weak, her steps slower than his, but she kept going. Behind them, the air cracked. A pulse blast struck the ground near their feet, turning dirt into fire. "They're not trying to arrest us," Lena said. "They're trying to erase me." "We don't stop," Micah said. Not yet. They ducked into a half-collapsed building, once a human market. Broken signs and rusted machines lined the walls. Micah dragged a heavy metal panel over the opening and pushed Lena to the back. "Stay quiet," he whispered. Above them, the red light passed once, then twice, then faded. Lena coughed quietly. Micah turned to her. "You okay?" She shook her head. "It's happening." "What is?" "The memories," she whispered. "They're starting to fade." He knelt beside her, eyes wide. "What do you mean?" "They weren't meant to last forever," she said. "They were planted like seeds. But if the body gets hurt too much, they begin to die. Can't we stop it?" "No. Only slow it." She grabbed his hand tightly. "I don't want to forget you." Micah stared at her, heart pounding. "Then hold on. We find a transmitter. We send the truth. And after that, I'll help you remember every day if I have to." They moved again through the undercity, crawling under debris and through old tunnels. Above them, the eraser unit moved in circles, scanning sector after sector. But it wasn't just a machine. It was listening. Hunting. Tracking Lena's biological code, designed by the same people who created her, now used to destroy her. In a quiet tunnel under the old metro lines, they stopped to breathe. Micah pulled the emergency data drive from his jacket. "This holds everything," he said. "Your profile, your history, the logs. If we can send it, they can't lie anymore." "They'll still try," Lena said weakly. "But the galaxy will know." He looked at her closely. Her hands trembled now. "What do you still remember?" he asked. She closed her eyes. "Your sister's laugh, the smell of your father's workshop, the first time you held a pencil, the time you fell from a tree and cried for hours. You remember all of that?" She smiled faintly. "Not just remember. I feel it." Her voice dropped. "But it's fading around, the edges, like a song I'm starting to forget." Micah took her face gently in his hands. "Then we keep moving." They reached the old transmitter tower by nightfall. It stood broken, half-flooded, but the uplink core still blinked with weak power. "Can we use it?" Lena asked. "Maybe," Micah said. "It's slow, but if we boost the signal, we can send the data to the outer comm relays." He plugged in the drive. A low hum filled the air. Outside, the eraser ship turned. It had found them. Inside, the transmitter began to blink. "Almost there," Micah whispered. But Lena stepped forward. "It's not fast." "Enough," she said. "We don't need fast, just complete." "It won't finish before they get here." "Then we fight." "No," she said quietly. "What?" She turned to him. "You once gave me your memories. And now I'll give you my voice." She placed her hand on the transmitter core. The machine lit up. The signal strength doubled, tripled. Her body pulsed with soft light. "What are you doing?" Micah asked, feeding it everything, directly, faster than any drive. "But you'll burn out." "I'm already fading." "Please, Lena." She looked at him, tears in her glowing eyes. "Let me do this. For you, for them, for what they tried to kill." Outside, the eraser ship fired. The roof exploded. Fire poured through the cracks. But inside the tower, the message sent. Not just data. A voice. Her voice. Across the stars. The bond that shouldn't exist. The tower burned. Flames climbed up the walls. Smoke filled the air. And above it all, the eraser ship hovered silently like a god of death. But the message had been sent. Lena's voice was already moving through deep space, across satellites, hidden relays, and forgotten channels. The truth could not be stopped now, but the fire still burned. Micah pulled Lena from the transmitter room as the roof cracked. Her body was cold in his arms, her light dimming, the energy she poured into the Signal had taken too much. "Stay with me," he whispered, pushing through smoke. She opened her eyes weakly. "Did it work?" "Yes." "It worked." "Good," she said softly. "Then they'll remember us." "They'll remember you," he said. "Us," she repeated. Then her voice faded. He carried her through the wreckage, stepping over fallen beams and melted stone. Outside, the sky was red. The eraser ship had stopped firing. It had done its job, but it didn't expect survivors. Micah made it to the edge of the lower tunnels, where the fire couldn't reach. He laid her down gently on a broken blanket. Her skin no longer glowed. Her breathing slowed. But she was still alive. Barely. He held her hand, watching her fingers twitch. "You gave them everything," he said. "You gave it first," she whispered. "I never knew how much it meant." She smiled faintly. "You gave me pain, and music, and fear, and sunsets, and love. I gave you too much sadness." "No," she said. "You gave me you." Micah touched the side of her face. "Why, me, Lena? Of all people, why did they choose me?" "Because you were honest," she said. "Your memories, they were raw, unfiltered. You didn't hide anything. I thought it was weakness. It was strength." Her hand tightened around his. "Your love for your sister, your guilt, your silence. I carried it all." He blinked back tears. "Was it too much?" "No," she said. "It made me real." Above them, the eraser ship turned slowly. A second vessel appeared on the horizon. Micah saw it in the distance, a Dominion scout ship, responding to the signal Lena sent. "Reinforcements," he said. "They're coming." Lena smiled again. Then, "The galaxy will know." He leaned closer. "What do you want, Lena?" "To stay," she said. "But I don't know if I can." "Then let me hold on for both of us." He pulled her close, holding her like something precious, not because of what she remembered, but because of who she had become. For hours, he stayed there, whispering old songs, names, stories, pieces of his soul, and even as her memory faded, she smiled, because even if her mind lost the details, her heart remembered the warmth. The message to the Starsa ship landed at dawn, not part of the erasers. This one was older, patched together with scrap and stolen steel. It bore no flag, no empire symbol, just a painted flame across its side, the mark of the fringe resistance. Micah stepped forward, arms raised. A hatch opened. 3 figures in dark cloaks walked out, holding scanners and light rifles. They moved carefully, eyes sharp. Then one of them removed their hood. A woman. Older, with scars along her cheek and soft blue eyes. "You're Micah," she said. "I am," and the voice was hers. He nodded. She sent the message. She gave everything. The woman looked at Lena, who still lay on the blanket, weak, barely breathing. "We've been waiting for something like this," the woman said. "What are you talking about?" "A sign, a voice, proof." "Proof of what?" "That the Soul Print project was real, and that the Empire lied about it." They brought Lena inside the ship. A medical pod was prepared, old but working. Micah sat beside it while the crew worked. "Can you save her?" he asked. The scarred woman looked at him. "We can keep her alive. But the memory loss, we don't know." "What about the message?" "It already reached 3 planets," she said. "More are picking it up now, and the ones in power, they're afraid." "Good, but they'll fight back." "Let them," Micah said. "You're not a soldier." "No," he said. "But she is my reason." Across space, screens lit up, in marketplaces, in quiet homes, in hidden bunkers. Lena's voice played again and again. "My name is Lena. I was born not by blood, but by memory. They told me I wasn't real. But I remember love. I remember loss. And I remember the one who gave me both. Some wept. Some turned away. But some listened, and believed. In the resistance ship, Lena woke for a moment. Micah leaned forward. "You're safe," he whispered. She smiled weakly. "You stayed. Always." "They heard it?" "They did." "Good." She closed her eyes again, resting. But this time she didn't look afraid. The scarred woman watched them. "You're going to change a lot of things," she said. Micah shook his head. "We already did." She wept for what we forgot. The galaxy didn't change in one day. But something had begun. On outer colonies, people whispered her name, not with fear, but with wonder. On fringe planets, children asked who the woman was that spoke across the stars with a human heart. And inside the Empire's walls, officials argued, councils panicked, and soldiers lowered their weapons for the first time in decades because a voice had spoken truth. And the truth couldn't be erased. On a quiet moon far from the flames, Lena opened her eyes. Slowly, softly. Micah was sitting at her side. He looked older somehow, more tired, but his eyes were still the same. "You came back," she whispered. He smiled. "I never left." She looked around the small medical bay. "Are we safe?" "For now." "Did they hear me?" "They did. And they're listening." She breathed deeply. "I thought I was gone." "You almost were. But you held on." Always. For days she rested. Her memory didn't return fully. Some names were gone. Some feelings had faded, but others remained. The way Micah looked at her. The sound of his voice. The warmth of his hand. These things stayed. And when she asked him to remind her again who she was, he didn't speak. He just held her hand and smiled. "You're the part of me I forgot to love." On a rooftop under twin moons, Lena and Micah sat together. A broadcast played in the distance, one of many. "This is not just about one project," the voice said. "It's about remembering who we were before fear taught us to erase everything different." Lena turned to Micah. "Do you think they'll forgive?" "Maybe not all, but some?" "Yes." "And us?" He looked at her gently. "We don't need to be forgiven. We need to be remembered." She nodded. "Then let's keep remembering." In her dreams, she no longer saw fire. She saw a swing in a backyard, a song about stars, a boy crying beside a hospital bed, and a hand reaching out to hold his. These weren't her memories, but they were hers now. And in the quiet of the stars, she wept. Not from pain, but for everything they had forgotten to feel. And now, remembered again.